All right, one thing that we are covering right now is the 2023 Joburg Mining Indaba, currently underway in Sandton. The two-day event bringing together captains of industry, role players across the mining sector. Discussions centered on developments, and of course there have been huge concerns about logistics, about getting exports to ports, about using railways that are non-existent in this country, about the woes of some of the mining projects exacerbated by load shedding. SABC News' economics reporter Katlego Legodi is at the Indaba and joins me now. Katlego, take us through recent events. We did chat to you in the last hour or so.
A very good afternoon to you once again, Francis, and to our viewers at home. Well, this afternoon we'll be seeing those high-level conversations being held here on day one of the Indaba, just coming out of what we're seeing being around issues of energy. You know very well that most of those that are here, they're talking about energy and what has been happening in the country as a hindrance to economic growth, as a hindrance to just a transformation within this particular mining sector. But they're saying that they're talking about repositioning this particular sector. Earlier on, we're speaking to Rudy Dix from the presidency. They're talking about the social compact and how then they're looking at ensuring that collaboration is championed here and we get the best out of those role players that are here. But most of them really concerned, Francis, about the issues of energy. It has been a hindrance, it has been hampering growth, and they're saying that there's a greater need to ensure that all hands are on deck and efforts are not lost in terms of getting it right. I'm going to bring into the conversation Andries now. He formed part of that panel here. You were chairing that panel, Andries, looking at issues of energy, and we find ourselves here where mines are crying foul, and they're saying that they're being hard done. The economy is being hard done. Investments just into the country are spooked, looking at the energy crisis that we're facing here at home. But we're seeing most of the role players here positioning themselves to come through with solutions, working with government as social partners. Welcome to the SABC.
Thank you. Yes, it's absolutely key that this problem is so big that we cannot solve it as private sector or as government. We need collaboration between both sectors and between all the players in it. You mentioned all hands on deck. That's really where we are. There's a desperate need to resolve the energy crisis in the country, and it goes beyond energy. It talks to the infrastructure crisis, so our mine-to-market infrastructure needs to be addressed. And then we need the enabling environment to invite those foreign investors to come and do mining here, come put their money down, because we need investment in this industry. We haven't really invested in it for a very long time.
What are they saying to you, those role players that are here? Because we know very well that we have large mines, those that have been in the space for quite some time. We have junior miners. Earlier on, I was speaking to the Junior Mining Council, and most of them, they also want to come through with those solutions. But we're looking at the environment that hasn't really over time seen the economy getting the best out of what has been happening over time. What are the role players, especially those that formed part of the panel discussion that you chaired, what are they saying to you?
Yeah, so this conference is a fantastic one. We can have those open, honest, robust debates to say, well, what do we need to do to make it happen? So the panel I chaired, we had Sariti, we had the Department of Water Affairs on there, and they all acknowledged and said, well, we need to get rid of this mistrust between private sector and government. We need to address that. It means we need to talk to each other. It means we need to create an enabling environment. So you mentioned the junior miners. It's absolutely essential that we grow exploration in this country. Without exploration, we cannot grow the resource base. The Northern Cape is a great example. So we need to expand our iron ore resources there. We need to expand our manganese resources there. There's lots of critical minerals there for the new economies that we need to find. But we can only find it if we invest in exploration. No one's going to invest in exploration if we have long lead times in getting those exploration licenses. We want that process to be much faster in order for companies, once they've got the money, they can immediately put it in the ground, explore, find the resources, so that we can start mining them. It takes a long time to develop a mine from finding it all the way through to production. If we don't start now, we're not going to be in a position to benefit from these commodities for the longer term future.
This event here being in its 11th installment as we speak right now, and we know over time that South Africa is forming part of the global vulnerable community, where then we've seen really inflation, we've seen a lot happening around the economy and the talks. Some of the issues that are raised here are not new. We knew them over the time. How are we faring in closing those gaps? How are we going to ensure that what is happening here is not just another talk shop?
Yeah, that's such a key point. We're a very proud sponsor as PwC of this event because we believe it goes beyond talking. And it was a great example set up where strategies that were set out, shared on the 2015 and 14 editions of this event, and how that's coming through now in practice. And it's coming through in practice at the mining companies themselves, where they implement the strategies that were set and make sure it happens on their own mine tenements, but also make sure it happens in the host communities around them, where they say, well, we need to be responsible miners, we need to deliver value to all our stakeholders, and we are starting to see that happen. Has to continue, and there's no doubt about that, and it has to continue with government supporting it. I know there's lots of initiatives from DMRE to try and make things practical, start implementing them. Speaker this morning, Temba, said we're great at making plans, but it's about execution. And I think the will is there for the execution. We are starting to see green shoots in execution, which we're very happy with. It must be more. It needs to continue happening.
Midupi coming back online, are you encouraged by the work of the electricity minister and Eskom? We still don't have a CEO there, but we're seeing the Ministry of Electricity moving to try and give us update in terms of the mitigation around issues of load shedding. Are you encouraged by what government has been doing over time, or there's still a need for more to be done here so that load shedding is a thing of the past altogether and we're not just moving from one stage to the next?
There's no doubt that there's a lot being done, and that's fantastic, but we need to do more. No, there's also no doubt about that. So we're encouraged by the Minister of Electricity and the plans, and we're encouraged by business collaborative effort to respond to the ask by the Minister, Eskom, and the wider community to address these concerns. A lot of that at the moment is crisis-driven, short-term focus. I was very encouraged earlier this morning when the panel said from the energy side, we cannot only focus on the short term, we need to invest in the long term. And I think that is good. We need a two-pronged attack. So tackle load shedding now. The reality is once we sort out load shedding, the demand will pick up so much for energy because there's a pent-up demand that's not being answered at the moment. We want this economy to grow. You can only grow if you've got surplus electricity and energy available. So we need to do more. Apart from addressing the short-term needs, we need to invest in the long-term generation capacity, and that needs to be a balanced capacity. We need to run hard on renewables, that's fast, that's quick, but we need balancing power. So we'll probably need significant investments in gas. We need to consider nuclear. We need to consider hydro. The other alternatives that will support our total full energy spectrum for the long-term future.
Andries, thank you very much for your time and everything of the best coming through there from PwC Africa. They are one of the main sponsors here, Francis, just also coming out of that panel session here where we saw energy under the spotlight, and most of the men and women here have really positioned themselves to say they don't want to be left behind. They want to come through with those solutions